Commander Vex-Nine floated in his command pod, all 6 of his eye stalks focused on the tactical display before him. The human vessel hung there in space like a wounded animal, its hull scarred and blackened from the recent skirmish. Oh, how satisfying it was to see these primitive bipeds finally cornered. "Status report, Lieutenant Cray," Vex-Nine commanded, his mandibles clicking with anticipation. "Sir, the human ship has lost main propulsion. Their weapons are offline. We have them exactly where we want them." Cray's voice buzzed through the bridge's communication grid. The young officer's enthusiasm was almost cute. Vex-Nine allowed himself a moment of smug satisfaction. 3 cycles of preparation had led to this moment. 3 cycles of studying these so-called warriors from Earth. What a joke that had been. The humans talked big, strutted around the galaxy like they owned it, but when push came to shove, well, here they were, floating dead in space. "Excellent. Begin boarding procedures. I want their captain brought to me alive. I have questions." Vex-Nine's eye stalks swiveled independently, a habit that had unnerved subordinates for decades. The Galactic Council had made such a fuss about humanity joining their ranks. "Dangerous," they said. "Unpredictable," they warned. Vex-Nine had laughed then, and he was laughing now. These creatures barely knew which end of a plasma rifle to hold. They'd been lucky so far, nothing more. 20 minutes later, the boarding party returned. They dragged with them a single human male, his strange hair the color of rust, his pale skin marked with what appeared to be primitive ceremonial scars. The creature wore a tattered blue uniform, torn and singed from battle. "Is this their captain?" Vex-Nine asked, floating down from his command pod to get a better look at this specimen. "No, sir," reported Sergeant Quill, the boarding party leader. "This one claims to be their cook. The captain and most of the crew are dead, sir. This was the only survivor we found conscious." "A cook?" Vex-Nine's mandibles twitched with amusement. Of all the humans to survive, it was the one who prepared food. How perfectly pathetic. The human raised his head, fixing Vex-Nine with startling green eyes. "Name's Marcus Kelly," he said, his voice rough but steady. "And you are?" The audacity. A prisoner, addressing a superior officer without permission. Vex-Nine's eye stalks converged on the insolent creature. "I am Commander Vex-Nine of the Hegemony Fleet. You, Cook, are my prisoner." Marcus actually smiled. Actually smiled. "Well, Commander Vex-Nine, this is awkward. See, I was in the middle of making beef stew when you lot decided to blow holes in my kitchen. Really ruined my day." Several of Vex-Nine's officers clicked their mandibles in confusion. Was this human suffering from combat shock? Why was he talking about food preparation during his capture? "Your attitude is curious," Vex-Nine mused, circling the bound human like a predator studying prey. "Are you not afraid? Your entire crew is dead. Your ship is destroyed. You are alone, surrounded by beings who could end your existence with a thought." Marcus shrugged. "Been in worse spots, honestly. You ever try to serve dinner to 200 hungry Marines when the food replicators are broken? That's scary. This is just Tuesday." Vex-Nine paused his circling. This wasn't going according to plan. The human should be cowering, begging for mercy, offering information. Instead, he seemed almost bored. "Perhaps you need motivation to take your situation seriously," Vex-Nine said. He gestured to Lieutenant Cray. "Demonstrate our commitment to extracting information." Cray moved forward, activating a neural probe. The device hummed with energy, designed to cause excruciating pain without permanent damage. It was a refined torture instrument perfected over centuries of interrogation. The probe touched Marcus's forehead. The human's body went rigid, muscles straining against his bonds. Most species would be screaming by now, begging for relief. But Marcus just gritted his teeth and endured. After 30 seconds, Vex-9 signaled for Cray to stop. The human slumped forward, breathing heavily. But when he looked up, his eyes still held that same steady defiance. "Neat trick," Marcus gasped. "Feels like a really bad hangover. You got anything stronger? Or is this amateur hour?" Vex-9's eye stalks recoiled in shock. Amateur hour! No creature had ever called his interrogation techniques amateur hour. "Increase the setting," he ordered. "Sir, that level could cause brain damage," Cray warned. "Do it." This time, Marcus convulsed more violently. His teeth clenched so hard Vex-9 was certain they would shatter. Sweat poured down the human's face, but still, no screaming, no pleading. When it ended, Marcus actually chuckled. "Okay, that one hurt a bit. Reminds me of the time I got struck by lightning during shore leave. Good times? Struck by lightning? And he lived?" Vex-9 felt the first flutter of. Was that concern? "What exactly are you?" Vex-9 demanded. "Told you already. I'm a cook. Pretty good one, too, if I say so myself. My grandmother's recipe for Irish stew could make a grown man weep with joy." This was becoming absurd. Vex-9 activated his personal communicator. "Dr. Zephyr, report to the bridge immediately. Bring your bioscanner." Dr. Zephyr arrived within moments, her 4 arms already holding various scanning devices. She was the fleet's chief xenobiologist, an expert on dozens of species. "Scan this creature," Vex-9 ordered. "I want to know exactly what we're dealing with." Dr. Zephyr ran her scanner over Marcus from multiple angles. Her expression grew more puzzled with each reading. "Sir," she said finally, "the readings are unusual." Define unusual. His bone density is 3 times what our intelligence suggested for humans. His muscle fiber composition is unlike anything in our databases. And his neural activity— She paused, rechecking her readings. "Sir, his brain is operating at efficiency levels I've only seen in advanced artificial intelligences." Vex-9 felt his confidence wobble. "Are you certain your equipment is functioning correctly?" "I've run diagnostics twice, sir. This human is not what our intelligence reports led us to expect." Marcus cleared his throat. "If I may interrupt this fascinating medical discussion, I've got a question." Every eye in the room focused on him. The prisoner wanted to ask questions? "You mentioned intelligence reports," Marcus continued conversationally. "Where exactly did you get your information about humans?" Vex-9 hesitated. It was hardly classified information. "From the Korvani traders. They provided extensive data about your species' capabilities in exchange for exclusive mining rights in the outer spiral." Marcus's expression changed. The casual humor vanished, replaced by something that made Vex-9's chitin crawl. It was the look of someone who had just received very important, very troubling news. "The Korvani," Marcus said slowly. "Blue guys, about 7 feet tall, really fond of lying through their teeth? They are known for their creative interpretation of facts," Dr. Zephyr admitted. Marcus nodded thoughtfully. "So you based your entire assessment of humanity on information provided by a species that considers deception a high art form." The bridge fell silent. Vex-9 could hear the soft hum of the ship's life support systems. He could hear Lieutenant Cray's nervous breathing. He could hear his own hearts beating a little faster than they should be. "Are you suggesting," Vex-9 said carefully, "that our intelligence was deliberately falsified?" Marcus looked up at him with those unsettling green eyes. "Commander, let me ask you something. In all your research about humans, did the Korvani happen to mention what we do for fun?" Fun? The question caught Vex-Nine off guard. What does recreation have to do with combat capability? Everything, Marcus said. See, humans have this hobby. We like to fight things that are bigger than us, stronger than us, more dangerous than us. We call it sport. Dr. Zephyr's scanner beeped again. She looked at the readings and went very still. "Sir," she whispered, "his adrenaline levels are spiking. His muscle density is increasing as we watch." Marcus continued talking, his voice still conversational. "We wrestle bears. We swim with sharks. We climb mountains that kill us just for the challenge. We invented something called extreme sports because regular sports weren't dangerous enough." Vex-Nine took an involuntary step backward. "But here's the really interesting part," Marcus said, and now there was something different in his voice. Something that made every predatory instinct Vex-Nine possessed scream warnings. "The Korvani would have told you about civilian humans, non-combatants, regular folks." The human's bonds creaked as his muscles flexed. "What they probably didn't mention," Marcus continued, "is that I'm not a regular folk." "You said you were a cook," Cray protested. Marcus smiled, and it was not a pleasant expression. "I am a cook. Best damn cook in the Colonial Marines. Been feeding soldiers for 15 years. But before I learned to cook..." The restraints snapped. Marcus stood up slowly, rolling his shoulders. "Before I learned to cook, I was a soldier. And before I was a soldier, I was something much worse." Vex-Nine felt his eye stalks retracting involuntarily. What could be worse than a soldier? A very, very angry human who just watched his friends die. The bridge erupted into action. Security personnel reached for weapons. Officers shouted orders. Alarms began to sound. Marcus moved. Vex-Nine had studied human combat footage. He thought he understood their limitations, their reaction times, their physical capabilities. He was wrong about everything. The human moved like liquid lightning, like controlled violence given form. Lieutenant Cray raised his plasma rifle. Marcus was there before the weapon could fire, one hand wrapping around the barrel, the other around Cray's throat. "Nothing personal," Marcus said conversationally, and threw the lieutenant across the bridge like he was tossing a bag of flour. Sergeant Quill activated his energy shield and charged. Marcus caught the shield with both hands, his feet sliding across the deck plates as he absorbed the charge's momentum. Then he twisted, and the shield generator screamed as metal bent in ways it was never designed to bend. "This is impossible," Vex-Nine breathed. Marcus looked at him over Quill's unconscious form. "No, Commander, this is just getting started." Dr. Zephyr had backed herself into a corner, scanner still beeping frantically. "His cellular activity is off the charts," she reported in a shaking voice. "His body is producing combat stimulants I can't even identify." More security personnel poured onto the bridge. Marcus cracked his knuckles. "You know what the funny thing is?" he said, advancing toward the group of armed aliens. "The Korvani were probably telling the truth about most humans. Regular folks just trying to get by, raise families, live peaceful lives." He ducked under a stun blast and came up with an uppercut that sent a hegemony trooper spinning through the air. "But they made one tiny mistake," Marcus continued, weaving between weapon fire with impossible grace. "They forgot to mention that some of us aren't regular folks." Vex-Nine watched in horrified fascination as his entire security detail was systematically dismantled by one unarmed human. It wasn't even a fight. It was more like watching a natural disaster with legs. Some of us, Marcus said, pausing to catch his breath while standing amid a pile of unconscious aliens, are what regular folks call when they need help. He turned to face Vex-Nine directly. And right now, Commander, I think you could use some help understanding exactly how badly you've miscalculated. Vex-Nine's mandibles clicked frantically. This is not possible. Our intelligence clearly stated that humans are weak, slow, easily intimidated. Your intelligence, Marcus said, walking slowly toward him, came from a species that profits from selling weak species to stronger ones. What do you think they had to gain by telling you the truth about humanity's military capabilities? The horrifying logic of it hit Vex-Nine like a plasma torpedo to the brain. The Korvani hadn't just been selling information. They'd been selling the hegemony a lie, setting up a conflict that would eliminate two potential rivals to their trading empire. We've been manipulated, Vex-Nine whispered. Now you're getting it, Marcus said. The question is, what are you going to do about it? Vex-Nine looked around his bridge. Half his crew was unconscious. His best security personnel were groaning softly as they slowly regained consciousness. And standing in the middle of it all was one human who looked like he could keep fighting for hours. One human who claimed to be a cook. If you are merely a cook, Vex-Nine said desperately, then what are your actual soldiers like? Marcus smiled that terrifying smile again. Commander, you really don't want to find out. But I'll tell you what. I'm feeling generous today. Maybe it's because I haven't finished my stew yet. So here's what's going to happen. He gestured around the bridge. You're going to wake up your crew. You're going to tend to their injuries. Then you're going to get on your communication system and call off whatever other attacks you have planned against human ships. And if I refuse? Vex-Nine asked, though he suspected he already knew the answer. Marcus's expression grew serious. Commander, I've been very, very patient with you so far. I haven't killed anyone. I've been gentle. But my patience has limits. And you've been testing them since you murdered my shipmates. The temperature on the bridge seemed to drop several degrees. So far, you've seen me annoyed, Marcus said quietly. You really, really don't want to see me angry. Vex-Nine believed him. Vex-Nine's communication panel chirped urgently. He glanced at Marcus, who nodded permission. The irony wasn't lost on the commander that he now needed a prisoner's approval to answer his own communications. Sir, came the voice of Captain Thane from the assault fleet, we're in position to begin the final phase. The human colony on Kepler 442b is defenseless. Should we commence orbital bombardment? Marcus's eyes went very, very cold. Vex-Nine felt his breathing apparatus constrict. Captain Thane, stand by. Do not, repeat, do not engage any targets until further notice. Sir, is there a problem? Marcus stepped closer to the communication panel. Close enough that Vex-Nine could smell the strange scent humans produced when their combat hormones spiked. It reminded him of ozone before a lightning storm. Tell him about the civilians, Marcus said quietly. Vex-Nine's mandibles trembled. Captain, what is the current population estimate for the colony? Approximately 50,000, sir. Mostly agricultural workers and their families. Intelligence suggests minimal military presence. Marcus closed his eyes for a moment. When he opened them, Vex-Nine saw something that made his chitin crawl. It was the look of a predator that had just spotted wounded prey. 50,000, Marcus repeated softly. Farmers, children, families just trying to grow food and build lives. The tactical value of the colony is minimal, Dr. Zephyr said quickly, apparently sensing the shift in Marcus's demeanor. It's primarily a resource extraction operation. Marcus turned to look at her. Doctor, let me explain something about human psychology. We have this interesting trait where the more innocent the target, the angrier we get when someone threatens them. He walked over to Lieutenant Cray, who was just regaining consciousness. With surprising gentleness, Marcus helped the alien sit up. "You feeling all right there, Lieutenant?" Marcus asked. Cray blinked in confusion. Yes, thank you." "Good. Now, I need you to run a deep scan on the human colony, not a tactical assessment. A detailed civilian population breakdown." Why would you want that?" Cray asked. Marcus's voice remained pleasant. "Because I want Commander Vex-Nine here to understand exactly what he was about to do." 10 minutes later, the results appeared on the main display. Vex-Nine stared at the data and felt something die inside his chest cavity. 18,000 children under the age of 10, Marcus read aloud. 4,000 elderly. 22,000 working adults. 6,000 teenagers. He paused at the next line. 237 expectant mothers. The bridge fell silent except for the hum of life support systems. "Commander," Marcus said, his voice still conversational, "did your intelligence briefings mention what humans call genocide?" Vex-Nine couldn't speak. His mandibles had locked in place. "I'll take that as a no," Marcus continued. "Genocide is what we call it when someone tries to wipe out an entire population of innocents. It's considered the most serious crime in human law. The penalty is death." Dr. Zephyr's scanner was beeping frantically again. "His biochemistry is changing," she whispered. "His muscle density is still increasing. His neural activity is approaching dangerous levels." Marcus ignored her. "Now, Commander, here's where things get interesting. See, I told you I was a cook. That's true, but I didn't mention my previous career." He began walking in a slow circle around Vex-Nine, like a shark circling wounded prey. "Before I learned to cook, I spent 12 years in something called the Colonial Marine Recon Division. We were what other soldiers called when they needed someone to do the impossible." Lieutenant Cray checked his data pad. "Sir, I'm showing 7 human ships approaching our position. They're moving at maximum burn." Marcus smiled. "Right on schedule." "You called for reinforcements?" Vex-Nine asked. "Didn't have to. See, when a Colonial Marine distress beacon goes active, every human ship within 3 sectors responds. It's automatic, like breathing." The tactical display lit up with new contacts. 7 human vessels, moving faster than hegemony intelligence had suggested was possible. "But here's the really fun part," Marcus continued. "Those aren't regular Colonial Marine ships. Those are Spec Ops vessels, the real professionals." Captain Thane's voice crackled over the communicator again. "Commander Vex-Nine, we have multiple human contacts approaching. Should we engage?" "No!" Vex-Nine shouted, then forced himself to speak more calmly. "No, Captain. Hold position and await orders." Marcus nodded approvingly. "Smart choice, because I should probably mention that I wasn't just any recon marine. I held a special position." He stopped circling and faced Vex-Nine directly. "I was the guy they sent when even the Spec Ops teams couldn't handle the situation." Dr. Zephyr's scanner was now emitting a continuous alarm tone. "Commander, I'm reading cellular changes that shouldn't be possible in any known biology. His bone density has increased another 40% in the last 10 minutes. That's adrenaline regulation training," Marcus explained casually. "Takes years to master. Most humans can't do it. But then, Most humans never needed to fight Vorthan death squads in hand-to-hand combat? Vex-Nine felt his eye stalks retract in shock. You've fought the Vorthans? The Vorthans were legendary throughout the galaxy. 8-foot-tall apex predators with natural armor plating and retractable claws. They were considered unstoppable in close combat. Fought them, beat them, learned their techniques, Marcus said. Turns out, when you grow up on a death world, you adapt pretty quickly to whatever wants to kill you. Death world? Lieutenant Cray asked weakly. Marcus laughed, and the sound raised the hackles on every creature present. Oh, right. Your intelligence probably classified Earth as a standard Class M planet, didn't it? Vex-Nine nodded reluctantly. Earth, Marcus said, is what we call a high-gravity, extreme weather, megafauna-infested nightmare that actively tries to kill everything living on it. The only reason we survived is because we're too stubborn to die. The communication panel chirped again. This time, the voice was different. Colder. More professional. Hegemony vessel, this is Colonel Sarah Martinez aboard the UES Retribution. You are currently holding one of our personnel. You have 30 seconds to explain why we shouldn't turn your ship into scrap metal. Marcus perked up. Oh, hey, Sarah's here. You're in luck, Commander. She's much more reasonable than I am. More reasonable, Vex-Nine croaked. Well, she usually gives people a full minute to surrender before she starts shooting. Vex-Nine activated his communicator with trembling appendages. Colonel Martinez, this is Commander Vex-Nine. There has been a misunderstanding. Explain. Marcus leaned over the communicator. Hey, Sarah, it's Marcus. They thought we were easy targets. Cute, right? Marcus Kelly, you magnificent lunatic. What's your status? Oh, fine. Took over their bridge. Had a nice chat with their commander about the intelligence they received from our old friends, the Korvani. The usual Tuesday stuff. There was a pause. Then Colonel Martinez's voice returned, noticeably colder. The Korvani sold them information about human capabilities. Yep. Set us up for a nice little ambush. These folks were planning to hit the Kepler colony next. Another pause. Longer this time. Commander Vex-Nine, Colonel Martinez said finally, I'm going to give you one chance to make this right. One chance. I'm listening, Vex-Nine managed. You're going to order your fleet to stand down. You're going to provide us with complete records of your communications with the Korvani. And you're going to explain to your superiors exactly how badly they've been played. And if I do this, then maybe we can avoid the part where 7 battle-hardened special operations teams demonstrate why humanity earned its reputation the hard way. Dr. Zephyr leaned close to Vex-Nine. Sir, I'm detecting weapons signatures on those ships that don't match anything in our databases. The power readings are concerning. Marcus overheard her. Oh, those are probably the new plasma torpedo systems. We reverse-engineered them from Vorthan technology and improved the efficiency by about 300%. He paused thoughtfully. Sarah, are you guys carrying the Mark 7 warheads? Full complement, Marcus. Plus some of those new toys the tech boys cooked up after studying Korvani shield technology. Ooh, the shield piercers? Nice. Vex-Nine felt his entire worldview crumbling around him. The Korvani had sold the hegemony obsolete intelligence, setting them up for a catastrophic first contact with humanity. But why? Commander, Marcus said, apparently reading his thoughts. Want to know the really funny part about all this? Vex-Nine wasn't sure he could handle any more revelations, but he nodded anyway. The Korvani didn't just sell you bad intel about humans. They've been doing the same thing to us about you. What do you mean? Marcus settled into the commander's chair like he owned it. They told us the hegemony was a peaceful trading confederation. Bunch of enlightened species working together for mutual benefit. Real nice guys who just wanted to establish diplomatic relations. The horrible logic of the manipulation became clear. They wanted us to fight each other. Bingo! Two expanding civilizations, both potentially threatening to Korvani trade dominance. Get them to eliminate each other, and suddenly the Korvani are the only major power left in this sector. Colonel Martinez's voice came through the communicator again. Marcus, how long before you're ready for extraction? Marcus looked around the bridge at the various unconscious and semi-conscious aliens. Give me 10 more minutes, Sarah. I want to make sure our new friends here understand the situation completely. Copy that. We'll hold position. Marcus stood up and walked over to Vex-Nine. Commander, I want you to understand something. What happened here today? This was me being nice. He gestured around the bridge. Your people are alive, bruised, maybe concussed, definitely embarrassed, but alive. That's because despite what the Korvani told you, most humans actually prefer peaceful solutions to problems. Vex-Nine looked at his injured crew and tried to imagine what Marcus being not nice would look like. The mental image made his breathing apparatus constrict again. But, Marcus continued, there are lines you don't cross. Threatening colonies full of innocent civilians is one of those lines. Planning genocide crosses so many lines, we don't even have names for them all. He leaned down so his face was level with Vex-Nine's eye stalks. So, here's what's going to happen. You're going to go back to your superiors and explain that they've been played. You're going to share everything you know about Korvani manipulation. And then you and I are going to work together to make sure this never happens again. And if I refuse? Marcus straightened up. Then Colonel Martinez and her people will demonstrate why the galaxy's most dangerous predators learn to fear the sound of human footsteps. He walked back to the communication panel. Sarah, I'm ready for pickup. And let's make sure Captain Thane and his friends understand they need to turn around and go home. Already handled, Marcus. Turns out, when you show up with overwhelming firepower and politely explain the situation, most reasonable people are willing to listen. Vex-Nine activated his own communicator. Captain Thane, this is Commander Vex-Nine. Order the fleet to stand down and return to base immediately. Sir, what about the colony? The colony is under the protection of the Colonial Marines, Captain. We are withdrawing from this sector. But, sir, our orders, Vex-Nine said firmly, were based on false intelligence provided by hostile third parties. The operation is terminated. Marcus smiled and extended his hand toward Vex-Nine. Commander, I think this is the beginning of a beautiful friendship. Vex-Nine stared at the offered hand for a moment, then carefully extended his own manipulator appendage to grasp it. Marcus's grip was firm but not crushing. Professional. The handshake of someone who had made his point and was now ready to move forward. For what it's worth, Marcus said, I think you're probably decent folks who got caught in someone else's game. The real enemy here is the Korvani manipulation. What will you do about them? Vex-Nine asked. Marcus's smile turned predatory again. Well, that's going to be interesting, isn't it? See, humans have this saying, fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. He looked out at the stars visible through the bridge viewports. The Korvani have been playing both sides of this conflict for their own profit. They've caused deaths on both our species. That makes them everyone's problem. Dr. Zephyr checked her scanner one more time. "Your biochemistry is returning to normal ranges," she reported. "Good," Marcus said. "I was starting to get a headache. All that adrenaline regulation training comes with side effects." A new voice came through the communicator. "Marcus, this is transport pilot Jenny Liu. I'm ready to bring you home." "Thanks, Jenny. Commander Vex-Nine, it's been educational. I'll make sure Colonel Martinez sends over those intelligence files about Korvani trading practices. I think you'll find them very enlightening." As Marcus headed toward the transport bay, he paused at the bridge entrance and looked back. "Oh, and Commander? Next time you want to try human food, just ask nicely. My beef stew is a lot better than my right hook." He disappeared down the corridor, leaving behind a bridge full of aliens who were slowly coming to grips with how completely they had misunderstood humanity. Vex-Nine slumped in his command pod and began composing the most difficult report of his career. He had to explain to his superiors that they had been manipulated into starting a war with a species that could field soldiers who considered fighting Vorthons a recreational activity. But more than that, he had to explain that humanity, despite their terrifying combat capabilities, had chosen mercy over vengeance. They had chosen diplomacy over destruction. It was going to be a very long report. 3 months later, Vex-Nine found himself aboard a joint hegemony human vessel, participating in what the humans called a diplomatic barbecue. Marcus had been assigned as the cultural liaison, and his beef stew had indeed become legendary among the crew. The Korvani trade empire was facing sanctions from both civilizations, their manipulation exposed and their profits dwindling. Justice, it seemed, could be served with a side of perfectly seasoned vegetables. "Commander," Marcus said, handing him a bowl of stew, "what do you think?" Vex-Nine tasted it carefully. His species' digestive system could handle most organic compounds, and the flavor was remarkable. "It's excellent," he admitted, "but I still don't understand how someone who cooks this well learned to fight like that." Marcus laughed. "Commander, feeding Marines and fighting bad guys are basically the same skill set. You need creativity, patience, the ability to work under pressure, and absolute dedication to getting the job done right." He paused thoughtfully. "Plus, if you screw up someone's dinner, they might just decide to show you what they learned in hand-to-hand combat training." Vex-Nine's mandibles clicked in what humans had learned was his species' equivalent of laughter. "I'll remember that the next time I critique the food." "Good man," Marcus said, and went back to serving stew to a bridge crew that included both humans and hegemony personnel. It had been, Vex-Nine reflected, the most educational military defeat in galactic history. And the beef stew really was exceptional.